All right, so we're going to talk about heat energy. And heat energy is one of the three types of energy, along with light and sound. There are 5 sources of heat energy: sunlight, which is natural, friction, temperature, and burning, and electrical. So 5. When we're able to see the molecules, we can see that the heat energy molecules move a lot faster than any of the other molecules. So like colder molecules move a lot slower. But the heat is formed from the energy that always travels from a hotter substance to a colder substance. So heat energy is going to go from the hot vibrations to the cold vibrations and warm those vibrations up so that they're going to move a lot faster. For example, particles of hot water would vibrate very quickly so that they would have more energy. For example, particles of hot water would vibrate very quickly and they have more energy. And we can kind of see that with the bubbling of the water. Another example is what happens when you pour hot coffee, hot chocolate, hot tea into the mug. At first, the mug felt really kind of cool. It's not very hot. And then as the liquid warms the mug up, it goes from a cold to a warmer sensation and then sometimes to hot. So that is heat energy. The hot water, the hot cocoa, the hot tea transferred its hot energy, its heat energy from itself to the mug, which would then warm up the mug. So heat and temperature are actually not the same. Temperature is a measure of the energy that matter contains or how hot or cold it is. Sun gives off heat energy, which is very important to our planet. The heat energy allows for plants to grow. We have electrical energy. The 5 sources of heat energy are sunlight, friction, temperature, burning, and electrical. So the sun is sunlight. That is the heat energy that is very important to our earth. It allows for plants to grow. It allows for the water cycle to give off heat energy that is important to our planet. It helps, the heat energy allows for plants to grow. Electrical energy transfers the heat energy through an electrical current, electrical source, like a toaster, an oven, a hair dryer, a heater. This is the type of heat energy that we use the most in our houses. Source of heat energy that helps warm things up like a fire. Our bodies are a source of heat. We can hold ice in our hands and we'll see it kind of start to melt as the heat from our hands transfers to the cold ice and it would begin to melt it. Friction is another type of heat source. Friction is rubbing 2 things together and transferring the heat energy. When our hands get cold in the wintertime, that's something that we always do is we always kind of like rub our hands together, rub them on our legs, just try to get the friction to warm ourselves up. So that's a great example and easy for students to be able to kind of relate to. So for this activity, you're going to set up stations in your class, and you could do this with your aides. You could break students up into individual groups or let them work together. But each group is going to kind of hit on one of those energy sources for heat energy. So the first station that I have is that you're going to have some lotion, and of course, make sure that it's safe for your students. But you're just going to have your students just kind of observe the lotion and then just kind of put some in their hands. They can just put some in their hands and then just have them rub their hands together, rub the lotion around. And what they should observe is that their hands are getting warmer as they rub them together, if they're doing it correctly. If they're just kind of going like this, they're not really going to feel the heat. But if they rub them together really well, they'll be able to feel the heat energy. They should then be able to identify that that is friction. So station number 2 is you're going to use a hair dryer. So I have it plugged into my wall behind me. But what you're going to do is you're going to have them just observe, like, how does the air feel outside of it to begin with? It's cool, it's room temperature, it might be a little warm depending on how your classroom temperature is, but they should be able to feel a difference between this and then turning it on. They should be able to feel that there's heat energy coming, there's heat coming out of this, and it's electrical energy because it's plugged into the wall. So it's getting the electrical source to create the heat, which is then warming up our hands. Another thing that you could do is have them take a candy bar. I have a Snickers bar here. Have them take a candy bar, observe it, put it on a plate, observe it, look at it, see what it looks like, and then make a hypothesis on what would happen if we go and we stick it outside in direct sunlight. Again, another heat source. Put it in the sun, leave it there for a couple of hours, put it up above the ground so that the ants and stuff won't get onto it. But they should be able to observe that the sun's heat will start to melt the chocolate away. Station 4. So station 4, you can give them different materials, different colors of construction paper, different materials like plastic, tin foil, whatever you may have laying around the classroom, but a diverse assortment of materials. And have them kind of like look at the materials and feel them and just kind of gauge what they think will be the material that's going to heat up the quickest. You can also do it with a cup of water. How long do they think it's going to take to heat up a cup of water to a certain degree? Use a thermometer to gauge that. Does it take longer for ice water to heat up than cold water? Does it take longer for ice water to heat up or just regular tap water? So those are some things that you can do to kind of practice heat energy in your classroom. A station that you can do is you can actually give students the choice to create or think of another heat source and write about it. Write a sentence about it, draw a picture, and then present it to the class. So that could be burning for a fire. They went camping and they needed fire for the fireplace, or they went camping and they needed to heat up their food. But you can give them an exploratory lesson. For station 5 or 6, depending on how many you do, you could have students do an exploratory one. So you've kind of hit on friction, you've hit on electrical, you've hit on sunlight for those heat energies, and then you've talked kind of about temperature. You could have them explore the next one or come up with another heat source that kind of correlates with those other ones. They can write about it, they can draw pictures about it, and then they can present it as a class. So this is a really great activity that you can do with your students in your class about heat energy, and it's a very hands-on, and the students should be able to kind of grasp the idea of energy. Heat energy is transferred from a warm or hot energy to a cold substance.